Cool. Hey, everybody. So this is Vincent and I, and we are going to answer some of the networking questions that Mr. Key has sent to us because we both had a lot of experiences of networking and benefits that have come of it, and we're really excited to share our insights and learnings with all of you guys. So I think the format is going to be, we're just going to ask the questions to each other and like alternate who asks first, and then if the other person afterwards is going to add their opinions as well to the question, if there's anything they disagree with, if there's anything they want to provide a different perspective about or agree with,
to add to.
or yeah, totally, just add. So that's how it's going to flow. So Vincent, let's get started. To start the video, please state your name, grade, and university and major next year.
I wonder what my name is. Yeah, hi, I am Vincent. I'm currently S6. I'm probably going to Waterloo next year for systems design engineering. How about you, Ananya?
Thanks for asking, Vincent. I'm Ananya. I'm in S6, going to Stanford next year for engineering.
Right, so I guess the first official question that's not our names is, Ananya, why do you think networking is such an important thing to have?
Yeah, you want to get started, Vincent, I think by like defining what networking is, because I think it might be useful to explain what it is before we describe all the different things about it. So maybe I'll start there and then go into why it's important. To me, networking is like building a relationship with people in a professional way. So I think in school, we're very good at building like friendships, but let's say you wanted to build like a friendship with someone who's like 30 years old. It's not like that. And if you wanted to gain their advice about like the job that they're in or their life advice in like a mentor-mentee kind of way, those are more professional relationships. And so the way to develop those is through networking. And I think networking is very important because there's so much about the world that we don't know yet because we're still so young and live in a tiny bubble of school. And I think to get more insight about like the world, like maybe what career path you want to go down or how you want to spend your future years, a really great way is to like ask for directions from people who are older than you and from people who have experience. So I know when I was getting started, like I would ask people for advice who were like in programming to tell me like about their world and give me like directions about what they like enjoyed, what they didn't enjoy, things they recommend to me. And then over time, just like keep developing that relationship so that it can become mutually beneficial. And that I think it's super important because not only do you like learn more about the world, you also then develop relationships with people who have had a lot more experience who can then help you in the sense that they can give you like opportunities and you can also help them.
And guidance, yeah.
Yeah, guidance as well. And I think like for me, probably you as well, Vincent, I know networking has like totally changed my life, like entirely. Yes. Like I would not be where I am by myself at all. Like it's solely because of the people that I've gotten to interact with. And that's why I think it's super valuable. How about you, Vincent?
Yeah, I think networking is also a really important kind of proving ground. In the future, doesn't matter what you do, you'll really need to learn how to create relationships with people. And networking is a really good way to practice those skills, skills like empathy, skills just like socializing. And it's just a really good way to develop those skills in a format that allows you to gain more experiences and more information and more knowledge. Because like Ananya said, we're 17, 18. We don't know that much about the world, no matter what we tell ourselves. And so network is a really good way to get more experiences. And I think number two, a really important thing, a really good rule in life from what I've experienced is if you don't ask, you don't get it. And if you do ask, you get it. People are a lot more willing to help than most people realize. And yeah, network is just a really good way to get stuff you want. Yeah.
Oh, totally. Next question. What kind of networking have you done, Vincent? What kind of people are in your network?
I think I've networked in relatively similar environments as Ananya. A big one, a really good one is conferences, because a lot of people normally it's gathered around specific ideas and events. Some conferences are really big, like Collision or Elevate. Some conferences are really a lot more smaller or a lot more niche. But conferences are a really good way to get to talk to people who are at the top of their fields or who have a lot of experience. Another really good way that I've gone to get some really good networks are meetups. Meetups can be around anything. They can be around personalized healthcare. They can be around music. They can be around art. And you'll find a lot of people who are just really passionate about these things. And I think third, LinkedIn, for all of its faults, is actually a really good platform. A lot of times you can just shoot someone a message and you can connect with them over WhatsApp or a phone call or email or Zoom. And it's a really good way just to see what type of people work where, what they do. But oftentimes it has a lower response rate. How about you, Ananya?
Yeah, so I think I want to echo a lot of what you said. Conferences are amazing because you get to meet people in person as well as meetups. And the great thing about both is you can find people who are like tailored in certain industries. So if you go to like a neurotech meetup, you'll find people interested in neurotech. Or if you go to like a professional artists meetup, then you'll find people interested in that field. Or if you go to like a banking conference, then you'll find a lot of people in banking. So I definitely do that kind of networking as well. As on top of that, sometimes you just find someone who's just really interesting online, like on the internet, and you're like, oh my God, you're sick. Please let me talk to you and pick your brain. And so shooting people an email and messaging them on LinkedIn is actually super effective. And then you can set up like a video call with them to like ask for directions, ask for advice, get to know them better, and share your story as well. And oftentimes I think people are really receptive to young people reaching out and asking because not a lot of people do it. So let's say you're like a 50-year-old or 30-year-old going about your job, and then like once in forever you get this eager kid who's eager to learn about you. Like that's pretty exciting even for them. So don't feel like a nuisance at all, because it's oftentimes I think very exciting for both people to understand what a different life is like. And so yeah, reaching out for people to meet over like Zoom or Skype or Hangouts also works as well. And
yeah.
What are some kinds of people in your network?
Because I like to do a lot of work, especially around tech, a lot of tech people on my network, particularly venture capitalists is a network or kind of a profession I've been trying to learn more about. And so I have a lot of those people in my network. But not everyone has to technically be in terms of a professional network. A lot of them can just be emotional network or mentors, right? They can just be people you look up to or who have some type of experience or some type of outlook or perspective that's really interesting and can guide you through a lot of stuff you work with, I think.
Yeah, so. I totally agree. For me, I have gotten the chance to meet a lot of really cool people at conferences. So people in my network so once I just cold emailed the founder of Kernel, which is a startup that I really liked. His name is Brian Johnson. So now I know him well after hopping on a Zoom call with him. Vitalik Buterin, who is the founder of Ethereum, one of the biggest cryptocurrencies, is now in my network, and I know all of his family quite well. We're pretty much friends now. There's like a bunch of venture capitalists as well, because I'm interested in that space with Vincent. So there's a few in the Valley, a few in New York. There's people from banks. Oh, and also like you can network anywhere. Like I was sitting on a plane going to New York, and the person beside me just so happened to be like one of the execs at TD, and I didn't know that. So I was like, "Hi, I'm Ananya. What's your name?" And then we just like talked, and like he ended up being someone really interesting with a really interesting life story. Who else could be interesting in my network? Oh, I really look up to this female poker player called Liv Bowery. So I emailed her, and now she follows me on Twitter, and I know her. There is Casper Lee, who is like a famous YouTuber you might know, who also follows me on Twitter, and like I know him as well. So I think like a lot of people who you think are like so out of your league and like so crazy are still more than happy to hop on you, like hop with you on a call, hop on a call with you. Yes. Yeah. And so really anyone you dream of talking to, you can reach out to, and there's a likelihood that you will get to know them.
Yeah, people, I think in this age, actually for once, age is a benefit. When you're younger, people want to say, hey, you're kind of really peppy, you're kind of a go-getter, a hustler. And a lot of people are just willing to share their knowledge with you, especially since they don't see you as like a threat or a nuisance, I think.
Okay, I think this question is super important. And when we're editing this, someone should probably put it at the front to get people to care. But how has your use of networking helped you to become successful?
Wow, that's a big question.
Or like, what are some positive things you've gotten from it? I think this is what will get people to care and be like, damn, I see value.
Yeah. For me, my first internship I ever got over at Sick Kids, what I did was I've been doing some work. I had been doing some work in virtual reality, and I came across an article in the Toronto Star um, in which a doctor was doing research in that area. And so the first thing I did was I looked him up on the Sick Kids directory, and I called him. I cold called him, and he was pretty impressed by some of the questions I asked him, and just gave me an opportunity on the spot. So he invited me to one of the conferences he was speaking at, and he gave me a position. So yeah, I think just that's one of the examples in how I got one internships, or even just in terms of success, not just I guess internship success or success in getting a job, is also the success in building a really good relationship. Has allowed me to, like, I made a really good connection with a venture capitalist over in Boston who works for as a corporate VC, and I think he's now a really, really, really good mentor to me. We kind of meet each month. We go over some ideas I have. He refines them. He gives his feedback on them. And just even that, like maybe he's not helping me get an internship, but the idea that I have someone who I can depend on and who's experienced in the space I'm interested in, constantly being willing to give me feedback, I feel that's a really big success. So yeah, those are two more prominent examples I've found. I'm sure Ananya has some really, really, really interesting ones.
No, I think those are amazing. And I've had very similar experiences. I would say four of my internships have been because of networking. So I got a chance to work on a venture capital fund in San Francisco. And that was just because I had met a lady in San Francisco at a conference about a year before. And then I talked with her and had an amazing conversation, and I thought her story was great. And then 6 months later, someone else I met at a conference introduced me to her again. So I talked with her again, and then she invited me down to work with them. My job at IBM was also through networking. I was at a conference and talked to someone who worked at IBM, and we had a really great discussion about artificial intelligence. And then he offered me that position. There was Sick Kids once again. I cold emailed a lab researcher and talked with him about molecular biology. He gave me advice on like what to learn for a whole year. Like I would go in like once a week for like meetings where he was teaching me like a whole bunch of biology, and like those are like I'm so grateful for those experiences. Like who would have thought that someone would just help you for no reason? Like there is literally like it's so foreign to think that someone will actually help you, but it happens, which is so weird. And like I guess another part of it, I think when we get older, like I know for me for sure, probably for Vincent as well, like we're going to definitely continue the cycle of also helping younger kids, as so many people helped us. Also, what else? Oh yeah, so I worked at Consensus, which is this blockchain company. That was also through networking. I met someone at a conference who gave me the internship. I met them at a hackathon actually, and they helped me build my hack, and then they gave me the job. And then now I'm doing Canadian military stuff, and that was like kind of through networking. So yeah, I think it's like literally every professional experience I have had has been because I have built a relationship with someone in the professional world who is able to help you out. And then also I've developed so much, like in terms of like getting advice, and I think growing as a person, because a lot of mentorship comes from people who are older than you. And I think it's different if it's not coming from a teacher or a parent, because you treat your teachers and parents differently, like than someone else. I think something useful, a lot of people talk about having like a personal board of advisors. So like maybe like a group of 5 people who you've networked with, who you're like have like a mentor relationship with. And then if you are about to make a big life decision or you need advice, then you can reach out to like these personal board of advisors to give you insight into whatever you're thinking. Also, so there's this thing where you don't have to network with people just in the industry you're thinking about like going into. One of the things that I found valuable was, let's say you just want to learn more about the world. Like you can network with people in like project management, and in like people who are professional basketball players, and people who are like seniors in a senior home, or like people who manage waste management. And you can learn more about these industries. You can learn more about like good things about the industries, bad things about the industries. You can network with philosophers to learn more about philosophy. Like you can just like reach out to anyone and learn about what they do, like what their passions are, how they find their life, what they like, what they don't like. And like for me, those have been really valuable conversations as well.
Yeah, so like Ananya is saying, networking doesn't just have to be professional. It's just a way to capitalize on kind of like the human search engine in a way, right? It's a way to learn and grow based on kind of this library of human experiences that other people have had. Yeah, that's the gist of it. It's not just kind of, hey, help me get a job. It's a lot more than that, I think. So, Ananya, what do you think? What would you say is the hardest thing about networking?
Yeah, I think networking is more of an art than a science. I think it's like sharing about yourself and how the other person share about themselves. And it's kind of like building a relationship. It's kind of like a dance in that sense. So I oftentimes see like a lot of people who are getting into networking for the first time, which is totally okay. But like you don't know what to do. So you just go up to someone and you're like, hey, can I have a job? I'm Ananya. And I would say it's less so about asking for opportunities immediately. Rather, it's about trying to build a relationship and like honestly get to know the other person. And I think that's where the most value comes from, emotionally and professionally. But like people love building relationships. We're all human. We love to do it. And so I think just like learning to do it is a skill that people will learn over time. At the beginning, it's like new for everybody. So obviously they won't know how to do it. And second, I think in order to get someone interested in you, like you're obviously interested in them because you're talking to them, like they're very fancy, they're very old, but you also have to be interesting, I think. And part of that is working on like sharing your bio. So like if you meet someone in a conference, you have like 20 seconds from the first time you say, hi, like, hi, I'm,
10 seconds.
Can I join this conversation? Then you have to give your summarized life story in 20 seconds, and they have to be like, okay, she's cool, for them to want to like invest and talk to you as well. So that short bio, I think, is very important, and you have to work on making it interesting. And so iterating on that, I think, is important. So you seem approachable, you don't seem too braggy, but you still seem legit, and you seem like you've done interesting things, but you also seem like human and not some like robot. So it's definitely a balance there. How about you, Vincent?
Yeah, I think Ananya hit a lot of the hardest things. One of the things I personally felt was the hardest was actually just getting started. And the first time I did any type of networking was when I tried to visit a startup's office. I think that was the first time. And so I had emailed the CEO. The CEO was like, sure, come in. And that day when I got on the bus to go over to their offices in Etobicoke, I think I was shitting bricks the entire time. I was going to puke like twice. I was so nervous. My hands were like this the entire time.
So relatable.
Like the first time is like sheer terror. It's worse than anything you've ever experienced because you have no idea what it's like. You think the person's just gonna be like, who the heck is this kid? Why are you here? Please go away. And so yeah, the first time, just walking up and getting that courage to go into that office or go to that conference, go to that meetup, and just say, hey, I'm here. I want to learn more about what you guys do. That's the hardest step, I think. But once you do it, it's kind of like riding a bicycle, except the bicycle's on fire. It doesn't get easy like immediately, but you get more used to it, right? You're more okay with here's my story, right? And you get a lot better at storytelling. And it just gets more smooth and you get better at not coming across like a robot or not coming across like a child in a way. And yeah, I think that's a really hard part. I think the second thing that's really hard, and then I also touched on, is how do you maintain that relationship? A lot of times when you move to someone, you kind of like send them a follow-up email and then you never meet with them again. But some of my kind of best contacts that I've encountered, there's a startup founder down by the waterfront. He works for a company called Interactics, and I kept a really good relationship with him. By just every month or every 2 months or so, you kind of send them an email, kind of sending, hey, here's what I've been working on, or here, since last time we talked, here's what I took away from it, here's what I built with it, or here's what I think. Would you want to catch up? And so just being able to keep a record of here's who I want to talk to, here's how I keep relationship with them, it's time consuming, like all relationships, but I think that's something that's actually hard to keep up. A lot of times some relationships I do regret, I kind of let slide after the follow-up email. But yeah, you just got to keep consistent. You got to invest the time to get the value out. And that's something that's really hard to do, I think.
Yeah, I totally agree. So let's move on to the final question.
Last question.
What 2 pieces of advice, Vincent, do you have for students on how to develop their networking skills?
Yeah, for me, 2 things have been really, 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 really important. Number 1 is get a notebook or a journal or some type of thing you can write on. And number 2 is always, always, always send follow-up emails. That's something that's really important. After you meet someone, you got to send a follow-up email. So for number 1, why it's important to take notes, that is kind of ties into the follow-up email part. Number 1, by taking notes, you make the other person feel that you're listening, and you should be listening in the first place. They're spending their time to talk to you. You got to make sure that you respect that. And number 2, yeah, take notes in the notebook is really important. And you can kind of reflect. That way you have a record of what you talked about. It isn't just talking. It's kind of, okay, so here's what they talked to me about. I have a record of it. Here's what I can take away from it. And that ties into the follow-up email. After you've talked to them, you can kind of summarize, here are the main points we talked about. Here's what I took away from it. So great to meet you. Let's set up coffee in a week, or let's set up coffee in a month. So yeah, those 2 things together, I think journaling, keeping a note of what's happening, and then follow-up email after and summarizing it is really, really important for maintaining and cementing that relationship.
Yeah, and I totally agree. I think you were talking about that from like an online networking perspective, correct?
No, in person.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm also going to talk about in person because I think in-person networking is very powerful because there's just something about meeting someone face to face that is unlike meeting
coronavirus.
So when this coronavirus thing is over, here are my 2 pieces of advice. 1, go to a meetup. Like you can literally go to meetup.com and like find one, or go to like TechTO, which is like technology in Toronto, which is like $20 entrance. Or go to.
Or you can sneak in. You can try to sneak in.
Or you can sneak in. That's cool. You can sneak into almost any conference.
Yeah.
Or you can email the organizers and say, hi.
Yes, that's probably better. More legal.
Kid, I'm a 20-year whatever, and you just share.
Yeah.
So you do a conference, and when you're there, what will happen is there will be people talking in groups. So there will be circles of like people talking in a conference.
Like high school. Exactly, like high school.
But this is something you have to do that you don't do at high school. You have to go into one of the groups and you have to be like, hi, can I join this conversation? And you have to do it. And at first it's so terrifying. And then once you're in the conversation, you have to say, you're like, hi, my name's Ananya. I am a 17-year-old who is interested in this, this, and this. I've done this. And I like can't wait to get to know you guys. What were you talking about? And then like have the conversation. But I think getting started is so difficult. Like the first time I wanted to do it, I was so scared to talk to a stranger in a group. Like I was so scared. Like someone had to urge me. They were like, go talk to those 5 people over there. And I was like, no. And they're like, go talk to those 5 people over there. And I was like, what? And then eventually you do it and then it becomes really easy. And it's so normal. It's so normal. Everyone does it because that's how you just meet new people. So practice that. And then I would say, oh no. So yeah, 1 is to go to these events and like enter groups. And 2nd is to practice like in the mirror or record yourself or practice your introductory like 20 seconds. Practice that, make it off the top of your head so you know what you're going to say. And then everything after that's so easy. Then it's just a normal conversation with people. Do you want to do your introduction or an introduction even though you haven't prepared, Vincent?
Introduction. Oh, I think so different. I normally do one-on-ones. So I kind of ask what they do first. I kind of go, hey, my name is Vincent. I'm currently a high school student, but I'm working as a developer at so-and-so, or I'm doing research at Sick Kids doing so-and-so. I saw based on your talk, sometimes if it's a speaker, it's like, hey, I saw you doing a talk on this. Here's why it's so interesting. Or here, I want to ask you some questions about it. Or I see on your tag that you work at this company. I'm actually curious about the company. I've been doing some reading about it. Maybe you haven't, but you can just ask, hey, I'm curious on what you want to do. So I try to give a really short introduction on what I do, what I'm currently doing, and try to make it about them. That's what I try to do. I try to make it about them a lot. And I try to really make it about, hey, I just want to hear what you have to say. Well, I want to hear what your story is, which I think is a bit different than what Ananya does. And I'm sure she has a much better kind of started to throw up an idea.
I do the same thing. Literally the same.
Yeah. So yeah, just what I'm doing, what I've been working on, and kind of, yeah, what do you do? Or I saw that your company does this. Do you have any idea about it? Or what's it like? What's your life like? Kind of thing. Is really powerful from my experience.
Totally agree. I'm going to give a quick example of like what I might say if I enter a group, because I think it could be helpful for you.
Yep.
So I would be like, hopefully you find this helpful because it's kind of weird, but whatever. I'd be like, hello, Vincent, or no, hi, my name's Ananya. I'm, no, actually, let me think about what I was going to say. Oh, yeah.
Okay, Mr. Key will cut this. You can go as many times as you want. This is not a live stream.
Great. I'd be like, hey, I'm Ananya. I got started off in the world of gene editing, worked in a gene editing lab at Sick Kids where we cured muscular dystrophy in mice using CRISPR. And then I built a platform that let people upload genetic data to researchers. That project got moved into a company called Consensus where I worked after. Then I got interested in brain-computer interfaces, worked with sponsorship from Microsoft, and now I am on the investment committee at this company, or I would say like
Babel, right?
what I was doing now. So like I'd be like, oh, I'm on the investment committee at Babel Ventures, which is what I did. Or I'd be like, oh, like today if I would be like, I do machine learning at IBM or whatever. And then I'd be like, so how did you get here? What is your story? What do you do? Like, I think those are all fine questions to ask. Even what do you do, even though it's weird, because nobody knows each other, so you have to ask it. Yeah. Do you have anything to add, Vincent? Any thoughts, any feelings, any confusions, any questions, any concerns?
Questions? I think it'll be a one-way questioning. I don't know. The big idea for me around networking is you just gotta say fuck it. I think a lot of times the thing is just like, you will get rejected. I've gotten rejected before. I've really had somebody like, what the fuck are you doing, kid? How old are you? Are you like 9? But yeah, you just gotta say fuck it and do it, I think, a lot of times.
Totally, I agree.
And just bite the bullet.
And it's not weird. Like, you think it's weird, but people do networking all the time.
Yeah.
And
if you don't network, you're the weird one, I think. It's like at a dance. If you don't dance.
Totally. And you might think like me and Vincent, like, might have done stuff, but when I got started networking, I had done nothing. And then you just say, hi, I'm Ananya, 14-year-old, and I'm super interested in learning more about artificial intelligence. And that's it. That's good enough. That's so good. Or like, I'm interested in like learning more about whatever, like philosophy, like whatever you're interested in. Like, it doesn't have to be related. And that's good enough as well. I think you're going to think it's weird when you do it for the first time, but it's not weird at all. And it's so valuable. It's like insanely valuable getting to meet more people around the world.
Yeah. Yeah. Ask and you shall receive. That is something that is huge. Ask and you shall receive. So,
totally.
Yeah, that's about it. That's about it.
Yep. I'm also done as well.
Cool.
How are you feeling, Vincent?
I am feeling better, I think. It's good to talk. I haven't talked in a while today.
I just communicate with a series of grunts.
Like just texting furiously with your keyboard or your hand. It's not the same thing as physical.
Like moving your mouth.
Projection.
What is this?
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like when you wake up in the morning for the first time, you're like, oh God, I sound weird.
Oh, totally.
Just that emotion.
I get that.
All right, it is 10:16. I will do my best to click to my sleep